Morning, Mike. Morning, Masana.
Ranking speechless. It's supposed to be reckless.
No, we're not reckless. Today we bring to you Fibert Kayo Salton.
You like to give them government?
No, I have to do it.
People can't remember the government.
Yeah, the reason why I have to do it is for people out there who don't know your real name, right?
Yeah.
Right? Or people, once they hear the name, it's like, oh, that's Kayo.
You know what's funny? I could differentiate when I meet a certain person or where I know them from based on what they call me.
Yes, yeah. You know? So I always like to introduce your
government name.
Full government.
What's on your passport, birth certificates, and credit cards?
Jeez. Even though I'm on credit cards.
But we have Kayo, who was featured in which issue? Issue 4? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
True.
Right. He was one of our first cover features.
OG.
Yeah. And we featured him in a time where Kayo was really on the grind. Not saying he's not on the grind right now. He's on the grind, but like you could have seen he was making the effort to be known, to be heard. Right at the age of 24, he was the first solution, right, to be signed by EMI, which is owned by Universal. Right. He has performed at Central Jazz Festival. Right. I think 2 years after we featured him. Right. That was by B-Walk. There was a B-Walk
jazz on the Bay,
Jazz on the Bay, right, which was phenomenal.
Thank you.
There was the entire band. He had an entire band.
Yeah, man.
I think Yogi was the musical director.
Yogi was MD for that. Absolutely.
Who is Johan
Big up Yogi, aka Johan Mercy. He changed his name now, you know.
Johan Mercy. Right.
Yeah, boy.
Right.
You could tell when fellas reach a certain tax bracket, they started changing their names.
Yeah. And Kayo has been pushing, right? He has had 7 musical projects, right?
Give or take.
Right, give or take. He's also the founder of Solstice, right? Which is in its 3rd year.
3rd year.
Right, 3rd
going
year.
On 4th. Yeah,
right,
man.
Going on 4th. And that's very commendable from him. Being an individual who went to Canada to study marketing, but he still had music in his veins, right? But was able to pursue, right, his passion by doing extra courses in order for him to have time during the semester to go on tours, right? He is probably the only individual in St. Lucia rap artist, meaning collaborated with Cardinal Official, which at the time was the biggest hip hop individual in slash dancehall artist in Canada. There's so much I could talk about, but we
keep going. You're doing great.
But we have him right here in studio. I could go on and on, but we want to hear from Kayo himself. Yeah. As I said, with Dazzle, we featured the young professionals, the entrepreneurs. Kayo, everything was encompassed in that title as entrepreneur. He also had sold merchandise. You know, I think. For him, what is the name of the
escape movement?
The escape movement,
yeah.
Not the flower, the leaf. Sorry,
the feather.
The feather, yeah.
Common misconception. Sorry. It's okay. It happens.
My bad.
I forgive you.
I have one, you know. I'm a white and black. I'm with a black feather. Yes, it was Jacko. That's Jacko's feather, right?
Oh, the one with the colorful one.
The colorful one. Yeah. University color.
Yes.
Right. So we have Kayo in house today, and he will tell you all about his journey from his interview with Dazzle to date, where he's going to be hosting Solstice tomorrow, is it?
Yep, Solstice and Endless Summer happening tomorrow.
New venue.
New
venue.
venue.
We'll talk all about it right now. So, Kayo, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, brother. That was one hell of an intro.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do try.
I go. We good.
Which is good because it's a reminder of all what you've accomplished. I mean, you're still on your hustle, so you don't think of all these things that you already have.
Yeah, and you don't always take the opportunity to sit back and smell the roses and appreciate them little blessings. So definitely.
And all the hard work, because you've been working hard.
Still
over like 15 years.
Still, at this point, majority of my life, like music has always been the motive. Still is. You know?
And is it a draining process? Because I could imagine for doing this for so long and the way you go hard with your music, at any point in time, is it where you're like, okay, I need to breathe a little?
I'll say this: it's a certain lifestyle that takes getting used to, because I've dedicated my life to it. I'm a full-time musician, and I found ways to, I guess, diversify my hustle by leveraging my brand, which has given me the opportunity to live off of my music. But it does get mentally, psychologically draining sometimes. I'll say one thing, and something that's really been getting to me, I'd say as of late, has been the traveling a lot. Like, I'm never one place long enough to feel like I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something, and as human beings, psychologically, we sort of crave that stability, crave those little things that hold us in and make us feel like we belong somewhere. And when you don't get that, or you have to leave that for too soon and then jump into a whole other environment, that could get to you psychologically. So I try to stay very grounded, very centered as a result of that. But the beauty of it all is, at its core, the music is still what keeps me alive. It's still what I wake up and I'm in love with. Especially recording, especially being in the studio. That's definitely like my favorite aspect of this whole thing.
So how did it all start? We know you're St. Lucian. You rep that to the core. Where are you from? How did you start off this passion with rap music?
And I mean, even with calling it rap music, like at this point, it's really kind of transcended that in a way. But it really started as poetry. It started as just writing. It started as an outlet, which it still is in a way, but it was just a way for me to convey my thoughts and my feelings as a child. You know, I was maybe 12, 13 at the time, and I would just write down stuff. I would just write how I felt about stuff. And I was always the kind of kid that would like sing along to the radio, make up his own words because he couldn't quite really hear what he was saying. So he just like that kind of thing. And it just really, in a way, became muscle memory. Like the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it, the better I got at it.
Because I know people remember you from school.
Yeah.
It's like the freestyle
the freestyle guy in the back of A-level there by the cafeteria.
By the cafe,
yeah. Them kind of things.
Let me tell you, like when
even
people
by
say,
Snapper, like just
Kayo rapping, we running from way up there to the cafeteria to see. Honestly, it was like people used to wait for that, and that used to spread around the campus like Kayo there.
The Big C too. Big C was a rapper at them time.
Yes. So was it at that point where you realized, okay, this is something that is me, and it's something that I could pursue? Or did you continue with life, you know, maybe working a 9 to 5?
It was always, and even saying in the back of my mind, I don't even think it was in the back of my mind. It was always in the front of my mind that music was the motive. And in a way, like school, work, traveling, all of these things were just a platform or a way to get there. I went to university because I knew I wanted to go overseas to pursue music. And even in A-level, I'd say this, that was a stepping stone for me, because when I started in St. Mary's College, I was at Talfest. I performed at the first Talfest, and that was my first ever real performance. Shortly after that, I met Corey, Wild Child Raggy. We started recording together. And
Airborne Academy, big up.
You say Airborne Academy, big up yourself. And then was CXC around in times, did CXC, went to A-level, and continued to pursue my career, and was doing the freestyles there, was still freestyling at the barber shop with Snapper. And around that time was also when Tempest had happened. So I had just finished doing my first performance with Sisterhood for the Jazz Festival. And shortly after that, we did records with Sexy J, and we did the whole Carnival circuit. And then right after that, we started doing Tempest. So those 2 years at A-level were a catalyst for me that really took me in, like, to continue in that direction. And I guess in a way solidified that for me. Because even at that age, my mom, my family, a lot of people were still doubting it, rightfully so, because, well, not rightfully so, but understandably so. And it wasn't until the more I did it, the more recognition I got from it, the more it was appreciated and understood, especially here at home, is when people closer to me started to appreciate it and respect it. And that's what made me even feel like, you know, I could do this.
Was that around the same time you performed with Sisterhood?
Yeah, so that would have been 2007 or something like that. Yeah, we had opened for Sierra at the time. Yeah.
Now, what made you gravitate to this genre? Because yes, there's a poetry. Some could say poetry could fit any type of genre. It's just how you express it. Why this genre? Because St. Lucia is not known for that culture. You know, we like the soca music, shake your bumper kind of vibe. What made you want to go that route?
Well, at the time, it's just what I naturally gravitated towards. But also, I really appreciated rap music because of the syllables and the cadences and the staccato and the rhythm and the fact that you could say so much more with so much less time. You know what I mean? Because you had 16 bars, you had to fill those with more syllables than if you have like a pop record or a soca record where like you get 4 or 5 lines and your verse is done. So it gave me more of an outlet. But even now, so once I left St. Lucia and I went overseas, that aspect of my artistry started to flourish a little bit more, because then you realize how much people outside of the Caribbean are in love with our culture, our vibe, our rhythm, our energy. And I started to incorporate that a lot more in my music. So that's why I say like it's even sort of transcended that of just hip hop or just rap. When people ask me what it is that I do, I like to call it Future meets Fugees. It's like a blend of reggae, R&B, hip-hop, dancehall, Afrobeat, all of those things amalgamated in one at this point. And you'll hear that in the next project, Hopeless Romantic, this September, Shameless Plug.
So my question is, how did you get that break in Canada, especially going to school? So you're coming from St. Lucia, right, where we don't have that hip-hop/rap culture, right? Going into an environment where it's flooded with individuals who want to enter the rap game, right? And many of those individuals have those stories, those ghetto stories, you know, drug selling stories.
I didn't know that.
And you, right? And you didn't come from that background, because here it's just sunshine, beach, and Peters.
We have our little thing, you know, but
So how did you break through, and where did you get that opportunity to actually quote unquote buzz in Canada?
Buzz. Well, I'll say this: the same. In a way, the fact that I was a rapper in St. Lucia helped me, because I was one of the few rappers in St. Lucia. So people who were looking for that kind of vibe would get it from me. And even from a creative standpoint, other artists wanted to work with me because I was one of the few people that did it, I guess, at that level. So even when I went to Canada, it kind of flipped where, I was a rapper, I was among a sea of other rappers, but now I come in for a totally different vibe because I'm from the Caribbean. You know what I mean? So that's how that flipped, and that's how that started to work in my advantage over there. And that's how I started to really get a bigger appreciation for like my culture and how important where I was born and growing up here like really was ingrained in everything that it is that I do, from like just little things that you wouldn't even notice that others would notice because, you know, they're not from there. So that's kind of what really helped me overseas, but also being in school, because I was able to network a lot. The Caribbean community really supported me, like all the different Caribbean societies in the universities in that city really supported me. I started doing a lot of the different open mics. From there, I started meeting different artists. They would bring me to the studio, this, that, and the third. And then eventually I linked up with Quake Matthews first, who was one of the biggest artists in Halifax, the city that I went to school in, St. Mary's University. Then I met Classified, who is one of the biggest artists in Canada, period. He signed me to a production deal, which then led to a licensing deal with EMI Music Canada. And I sort of like adopted his infrastructure. So his manager became my manager, his booking agent became my booking agent, and things of that nature. And then we just kept it moving.
Now, like Rankin said, and you know, that genre internationally, it's like a very egotistical type of genre. You know, you talk about the money and the cars and the girls and stuff, and you have your own style. You more, like you said, poetry. You're deep with your words.
Some would call it conscious, I guess.
It connects with people on a deeper level. Where do you get your inspiration from? How do you go about writing a song? How does it come out? Do you think of something? Because normally, you know, with these songwriters, it's just
that's the
lines
thing.
and you.
So
but
like,
with you, it's so deep. How do you go about doing that?
It's funny you say that. So I've been exploring the avenue of a songwriter a lot more. So the same way that I said that I've used my brand, I've leveraged my brand to diversify my hustle, different outlets. So I do merchandise, I curate events, I create and direct for other artists, I do digital marketing for them, but I also do songwriting, which is where I either write for other artists or I pitch my music for film, television, video games, things of that nature. So with that being said, I have vast catalog of music. Like we have about like 80 to 90 unreleased records just right now. my process has become really, I don't want to sound like a hippie when I say this, but it's become really spiritual, where I consider myself, other creatives, and all of us in a way as vessels. You understand? And as these vessels, we channel certain things, certain frequencies, certain energies through us. And we just have to really be open and receptive to those frequencies at the time to be able to channel them. So when I'm in the studio, I just go in there, we start with the music, whether we just starting from scratch or if we already have the production, and I go in there and I just freestyle, I just mumble, I come up with different melodies, gibberish. I'd record about 3-4 tracks of that, go through them, see which melodies, which cadences I like, comp them into what the structure of the song would be, and then I'd likely just like, in a way, trace those with lyrics, because most of it is already there. I said it already without really thinking about it. I just have to fill in the blanks.
But then when you write for somebody else, how does that work? Do you feel like they're able to really convey the message and the passion that you have? Like when you go through all of that, could somebody actually translate that the way you would?
It'll be different, and it's tough sometimes to let those things go, because in a way each of these songs are your babies.
It's personal, yeah.
But at the same time, I found a interesting, unique joy in hearing others perform my work.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I feel like I don't always have to be in the forefront of things. I feel like at the end of the day, the music is what comes first, and it's a certain joy to see someone else perform it. And at its core, it comes from a real and genuine place. It comes from a human place that we can all resonate with. So if you could connect to that emotion in whatever way it reaches you, then I believe that you could convey that message effectively.
And with that being said, you transition, like you said, to merchandise. You have events as well.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little.
Yes, so we have Solstice. I've been working on Solstice for a number of years now. Solstice started as an unplugged event series that we had at Zen Nightclub every Sunday, and really I just wanted to be able to have something to do while I was here, something to give back, something to be able to collaborate and foster that camaraderie among different creatives and different artists, and bring them out and bring out our favorite artists into the environment with their fans, and have them be able to perform in a unique and intimate setting and environment for them. I like to take different artists out of their comfort zone and put them in different elements. Say, for instance, I'll take like a Denry segment artist and perform with a jazz musician or something, just to get that different vibe.
That's different.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's by the grace of God, it's grown over the few years. The brand has lived through everything that we've had here in St. Lucia, and here we are now. So I do these special edition solstices every time I come home. Last time I was here in January, I did Solstice, a winter in St. Lucia. This time we're doing Solstice, an endless summer. It is happening tomorrow, this Thursday, at Orlando's at Rodney Bay.
New venue,
New venue. Sadly,
Where's Orlando's?
Orlando's is where Pub House used to be, or Fire Grill, or Banana Country. It's right between Memories of Hong Kong and Razzmatazz, opposite Royal St. Lucian.
Yeah.
So now you talking about you creating that platform for other artists in St. Lucia, to take them out of the comfort zone. But do other local artists, St. Lucian artists, reach out to you for advice on how they should more or less take their career? Like how to position themselves in the music industry in order for them to be more or less professional and for them to get out there?
Yes, they do. And the same way they reach out, I also reach out to them. I've learned a lot from a lot of different artists here. A lot of them are people who I consider very good friends of mine. And in doing Solstice as well, it's really fostered this sense of collaboration. So we're always in the studio at Rashad Joseph's studio in Moshi, and we always collaborating. Different people are coming through all of the time, and in a way that has really been a catalyst for Solstice as well, because it's given us a catalog of content that we have from all of these different St. Lucian artists that you wouldn't expect to hear together. Like we had a record with myself, Smalls, and Shemi J. We have a record with Rashad, myself, and Kamaya Lisette. We just did a record with Rashad and Shan James last night. You know what I mean? So
when you dropping these things.
So again, another thing, we've been doing Solstice Radio, where we've been playing a lot of this exclusive content, and we're going to be releasing a promo mix of a lot of this exclusive content today, actually.
I
Solstice
hope
Tape
you're
1.
sending those tunes to the wave. You know?
Absolutely, because they put fire on me. They tell me I doesn't send them the music. I send the music, I get bounced back, all kind of thing. But we'll make sure that we have an effective system to get you guys music for sure.
Nice.
And I have a record coming out next week with Crown Prince, actually, DJ Crown Prince.
Okay.
He's on his DJ Khaled kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So he curated the record, linked me with the producer. I recorded it in Atlanta before I came here. The record is called No Rest. The single and the video will be dropping next Friday.
Wow.
And
You busy with
I've been working on a project. It's a R&B soul, neo soul kind of project.
Okay.
It's called Hopeless Romantic. It's very conceptual. 7 songs, 21 minutes. I'm looking to drop that late September.
Nice.
And then, end the year with some singles.
All right. So, Rankin, we could read more about his story on issue 4. So that's a throwback.
That's
Where
a
can
real
we get
that's
it?
a throwback, and you can always get online, dazzlethemag.com. And for everyone out there, just follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dazzle the Mag.